A Beautiful Truth by Colin McAdam. Set in the early 1970s, the book explores the relationships of both chimpanzee and human in two converging lines of sight.
There's this chimp named Louis who was adopted as a surrogate son to a childless couple in Vermont, and they raise him from essentially shortly after birth. They raise him as they would a son, and they try to figure out what that means, and they have many ups and downs. And then there's this other storyline of these chimps in Florida who are in a study enclosure, and it's sort of the history of that largely seen through the eyes of a chimp named Mr. Ghoul. His life has its ups and downs as well, and eventually the two stories come together. I wanted to look as sort of roundly and honestly as I could at chimpanzees and tease out from that what it means to be an ape. I'm an ape, you're an ape, we're all great apes, but we don't have a language for that, I think, and the book was kind of my attempt to find a language for that. All the way to Burlington, her anxiety had grown. "What will he eat?" she said. I don't know all that much," Walt said. She tried to calm herself by not thinking deeply. Walt had said they seemed so human. At that moment of meeting, Louis lunged and nuzzled and squirmed and settled. He and Judy made unwritten noises, and he looked at her with eyes of eagerness and purity, and she understood his hunger. This was the sort of heyday of people trying to raise chimps in their homes, late 60s, early 70s. It still happens. And it always has the same tragic consequences. We have very few honest discussions about what we are as animals, and what we are as animals is apes, and what is an ape? How do we find a language to talk about that? And that's what I was trying to do. To be able to portray, in a sense, what it means to move and think like an ape was my ambition.